So there exists a multi-million fake medicine syndicate that's putting millions of Kenyans' lives at risk. And that's what we're focusing on today in Your Health. We're all about counterfeit medicine, or drugs if you like. And joining me in studio is Dr Abdinassir Khalif, who is a member of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya and pharmacist as well. Thank you for joining us. Counterfeit drugs is a big problem, counterfeiting. And talk to us about how we've gotten where we are as Kenya. What numbers, statistics do we have in as far as this problem is concerned?
Thank you, Sophie, for giving me a chance to talk about the threat of the counterfeits. I will say it is very difficult to define counterfeit. Even WHO, they have a challenge when it comes to defining a counterfeit medicine, simply because there are many forms in which counterfeiting is showcased. For example, you might find that the drug might not have the active ingredient, which is actually what treats the patient. The drug usually has an active ingredient and excipients. The excipients are more of a carrier. They carry the active ingredient of the medicine. So when we talk about counterfeits, it's just a broader term. Maybe there's a problem in the active ingredient, it's not there, or it is there in lesser quantities than it's supposed to be, or there are impurities in the excipients. There are many forms how the counterfeiting can showcase. So when we have a counterfeit, currently, the last time I had the statistics, we had almost 30% of medicines being counterfeit.
In Kenya?
In Kenya.
Okay.
When it is 30%, that means in every 3 drugs you get today from a pharmacy,
one will be fake.
One is
fake, yes.
Yeah, it's a counterfeit. Sometimes you might find that the medicine has all that is required in its structure and everything, but just because it did not go through the necessary legal frameworks, you might find it can be a counterfeit because we don't know what it has. Because we don't know what it has.
And it is the ordinary, everyday drugs that are usually on high demand that a lot of this counterfeiting is happening, hence that even perhaps 30%. It is the drugs that every day one person would be going out to the pharmacy to grab some, right?
Yes.
What kind of drugs?
The syndicate or the cartels that usually run counterfeits, for whatever reason they are in business and they target fast-moving medicines. For example, antibiotics, painkillers. These are medicines that if you go to a hospital today, there are high chances that you will get a prescription for an antibiotic or both, or a prescription for painkiller or for both. So they direct their intentions towards the medicines that move very fast, that are in high demand. Sometimes they create the demand. Sometimes you end up talking to a doctor to prescribe a certain product. But since there's a disconnect between regulatory authorities and the doctors prescribing, you might find that just because the doctor ended up going to a holiday or being treated well by a company, the doctor picks a habit of prescribing a certain product.
Yeah, and these drugs, most of them are from huge pharmaceutical firms, renowned around the world. So how is it these counterfeiters are penetrating to be able to come up with these fake products? Because I understand some of them are so good that they even look better than the real products, or that even for you as an expert would be hard to tell that this is not real. So how is it they've been able to penetrate the market?
One thing they mostly take advantage of is the fact that in practice of medicine, ethics is an integral part in healthcare. Today, I can confidently tell you we are not ethical in our practice. Simply because when we're in school and we are undergraduate training, we are taught about medicines in their molecular names. For example, we are told paracetamol. at no one point we are taught that there are many forms of paracetamol. There is Panadol, there is Maramoja, there is headaches. There are many forms of paracetamol. But in school, we are never taught the name given by manufacturers. And when we are graduating, we come to practice, we are informed that we must prescribe by generic name. You tell the patient, you need paracetamol. So when the patient goes out there, he or she can get a Panadol, a headaches, whichever is available. Huh? But we've reached a point where today we prescribe by the brand names of the products, which is very unethical. And nobody talks about it.
So what about then regulation? Are there no regulation laws that should be able to ensure that this is streamlined and that Kenyans and the members of the public are not susceptible to this kind of extortion?
Currently, there is an anti-counterfeit bill that is under progress. But if we cannot implement a simple ethical requirement, I'm not so optimistic about the laws when they come into force.
So are the laws good though? Because ethics cannot be the only biggest problem, because the laws and the penalties, because we also never get to hear stories of people that have been arrested because of this and the other, measures that have been taken to punish those that have already been propagating the same.
The person who is trading in medicines, just like any other businessman, they are regulated, there are regulations. There are laws that cover if and when you're caught with even operating a premise without a license, trading in poisons without the required licenses. There are laws that govern. But what happens is that when you have around 15,000 different brands registered in the market, you are forcing the trader to stock everything. Simply because he doesn't know. The next prescription, the trader does not know, will come with what name. You are forcing this trader to keep every brand of medicine. For paracetamol alone, you are forcing him, by ignoring that ethical requirement, you are forcing him or her to stock almost every brand that has been registered in the market.
So for you, the biggest problem is ethics?
Ethics, with just that ethical requirement, I can count for you the more implications, not just the counterfeiting. It even has an impact on the economy of the country. Medicine is something you take when you are sick. And at a certain point, there are only a certain percentage of the population that are in need of medicines. Not everybody requires a medicine any one time, just like food. But when we are not ethical in our practice, we are forcing the traders to look for ways and means to meet a false demand. When you're treating a patient, you treat by giving him or her a medicine to alleviate the pain or the suffering at that moment. But when we want to treat it with certain specific names, we make it complicated. That is where there's room for counterfeiting. I hope if I'm very clear.
Because some would argue that in as far as regulation, that perhaps the role of keeping this industry in check, that the Pharmacist and Poisons Board should be the one handling this question in as far as the expertise in this area. Do you agree with that kind of analysis?
I agree. I partly agree. But there is some certain information missing. There is currently it's a moribund society because of the fact that you could ask me what PSK stands for. PSK is the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya. It is the equivalent of LSK. It has to provide to the public information on medicines, general questions, just like LSK provides guiding when it comes to the law. PSK has to fill the void when it comes to information on behalf of the public for medicines. Now what happens, the Farmers and Persons Board is guided by a board of 9 members. Out of this, the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya appoints 5, there are 5 pharmacists, 5 representatives from the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya that sit in that board. It is a matter of a lack of cooperation between the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya and the Pharmacy and Persons Board to really deal with the menace of counterfeits. But we are hoping, currently there are a lot of changes happening in the Kenya Medical Practitioners Board and also in the Pharmaceutical Society. There are elections happening. We believe things will change from October.
So what fuels this multi-million, billion, trillion-dollar industry for some, okay, not trillion, is the quick money, the element of just making quick money by these counterfeiters. But where is hope for ordinary mwananchi as far as when they're purchasing their medicine? Because just one of our guests the other day shared with us, he was suffering from this cough and went to purchase medicine only to find that it was flour, unga, and it's very hard then if you're not one of those people who be very careful to check later on, because these are brands that are renowned, there's a lot of confidence in them. What then is your advice to wananchi as they interact with medication and they go out to purchase?
As Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, we are going to take a head-on and a lead role when it comes to guiding wananchi in terms of the demand for medicines from October. Mm-hmm. Once we can be in a position to make sure that the public can get information from us, we are going to be rolling out some projects which will help members to identify where it is safe to get medicines and where it is not safe. There is a project called Green Cross Project that will be launched and implemented from October. Mm-hmm. Once it comes into force, the members the public can identify this place is a safe place for getting my medicines. If you go to a place where you don't find a green cross hanging, we will also provide a system whereby you can use a shortcut message to confirm where you are is a place that you can safely get medicines.
Okay.
Yeah, because we fear the green cross can be something that will also be counterfeited. The same way medicines are getting counterfeits, we might find that there are other parallel crosses might be put, mm-hmm. but we will supplement it with shortcode messaging, whereby if you want to get medicines, you just inquire and you will get a response immediately to confirm that you're in a safe environment.
But for that to happen, it would mean you as a PSK have already conducted some analysis, have looked into the field and what's available there. So are you saying as for now, you either know or are in the process of being able to sieve and tell these are the good dealers and these ones are not?
Yeah, already there are some systems being put in place electronically. Mm-hmm. We will want to have a situation whereby the healthcare of this country is online based, where you go to a doctor cannot even prescribe for you without him being a licensed doctor, and you cannot get the same medicine when you get the prescription. You cannot get the same medicine from any other outlet other than a registered outlet.
So I'm asking, so do you already know those that are not clean in terms of the kind of medication they're selling, these outlets that you will be in essence blacklisting? Because then if you have those that have the mark or the cross, it's to say this is where we prefer that you buy your medicine because we know they're conducting clean business. This one's not because they're not. So have you carried out that analysis?
There's a survey that will be done.
So it's yet to happen?
It's yet to happen. That's why I was giving you a timeline from 1st of October. onwards, where we can do a survey. We know there are almost 5,000 premises registered with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, but in reality, we have more than 20,000 within Nairobi alone. So we will do a crackdown where we'll make sure the public will get the necessary information, the right information, and the right products at their own will. Yeah.
And this is, in as far as it being a huge problem here, it's also an international problem. One of Interpol's biggest headache. So how is it then you're also drawing and learning lessons from the international scene, and how other countries have taken on the same fight?
Currently, we've started, we also have the same challenges that other sectors also experience at the moment as a developing country. The East Africa community reality, the dream is almost coming to reality. And we also participate in the international conferences where we make sure we don't lose touch with the international forums. But we are at the moment we are more focused on the East Africa community, while still we don't lose the touch with the international community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you say that they also thrive, these counterfeiters, with the counterfeit drugs and medicine in the local pharmacists or shops, if you like, and that people perhaps should then look out for more established, more authorized, for now, before your study comes out or your analysis and setting them apart is done, in as far as purchase of medicine?
To make sure they are safe?
Yes.
What I can assure for now, the practice of healthcare is not as bad as being portrayed. We are having challenges, but healthcare has been devolved, and there is a very big chance to improve on all the challenges we have through the county devolution, and if we can even have county healthcare bills.
Yes.
But for now, what I can say is that we are not doing that badly to give alarming statements. It was unfortunate that Mheshimiwa had that scenario.
So you don't think it's an alarming problem?
We are not doing that badly, but
30% is bad. 1 in 3 drugs.
I gave you a solution.
Yeah.
The only problem we have is just by implementing the ethical requirements. I can assure you it won't be a big issue.
Because then that calls to one's person. Sorry about my apologies. That calls to one's person to be able to then change that ethical part of them. How do you regulate on ethics?
I wish that ethical requirement has been highlighted before, but what I came to realize was that we were more concerned of patient complaints that arise after surgeries, some complications. Those are the kind of ethics that have been addressed, but this issue has never been brought forward, and we're looking forward to a forum where we'll put our heads together in all the players in the healthcare, from the medical officers, pharmacists, nurses, clinical officers. We'll put our heads together and we tell each other that we should begin from this simple step. We become ethical. We work this way. If possible, we seek support and a push from the Cabinet Secretary for Health, who has a mandate, and despite many things being constitutionalized and healthcare devolved, he still has a strong say in healthcare as a Cabinet Secretary. That is why the national government still has a budget for healthcare, and I believe the many issues that will arise from that the counties cannot address can still be tackled with a stakeholder forum. But if these things cannot happen and we cannot succeed in what we want to do, we will just have to also seek, as doctors, we can also seek to have a doctors' council in the constitution so that we help the governors implement healthcare.
What are some of what you know so far to be side effects, in as far as when people take these counterfeit drugs? What are some of what then are the consequences of that?
As I told you, some of the counterfeits, they don't have any active ingredient.
So the consequence then would be that your condition would remain?
It will remain the same. There are those that have impurities. Your body might react to the impurities. The ones that have little or a small quantity of the active ingredient will have not only an impact, a negative effect on the patient by not helping him or her, it will also have an impact on the likelihood of the good medicine working. Because in your body, once you have for example, you have a bacterial infection, you take a counterfeit with little active ingredient. These medicines, they work within a range. There's a certain range, there's the minimum inhibitory concentration, and there's the maximum. Between these two is the therapeutic window of the medicine. Once it can go out of those two, out of that window, it is not a medicine. It can be a poison, or it can be an ineffective medicine. But if you take a medicine with little or no active ingredient, it means this bacteria that you're treating can also have resistance towards it, because it will not kill the bacteria. What it will do, it will partially deactivate the bacteria and give the bacteria time to come up again. It will mutate. The bacteria will now be stronger to the same ingredient if it is introduced, even if it is at higher concentrations, it will not work.
We have a caller online. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm well, thank you for calling.
My name is Anthony.
Yes.
I wanted to comment on the show.
Go ahead.
I can see Dr. Khalif is coming out clearly, but I can assure you, Sophie, there is more than meets the eye. Hello?
Yes.
Number one. Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Just continue.
Hello, what I'm saying is this,
We hear you, Anthony. Just speak continuously. We hear you.
Yeah, but much as they would like to come up with a green cross or the SMS coding for the confirmation of the drugs, some of these premises are operated by quacks. What are they doing to prevent this? Because most of these premises are protected by the godfathers from the regulatory bodies. And you might end up setting the court and then get the counterfeit, the feedback for the counterfeit drugs. So what are they going to do about the quaxing that is there in the counter?
All right, Anthony, thank you for your question. What do you say to that?
Okay. Thank you, Anthony. He's worried about quacks who have godfathers. All I can say is that PSK is going to appoint credible representatives in the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. These members or representatives are going to be elected by the members themselves, by the more than 3,000 pharmacists who are in the country, who are registered and practicing. What they will be expected to do in that board, the first role is regulation. Licensing of the members, they have a lot of roles to play. 5 out of the 9 board members, if they cannot deliver what they are tasked to do, we will replace them.
All right, let's take another call.
Just a second point. When we introduce the short code SMS and the Green Cross identity for the pharmacies, what we will do, if as a public you are told not to go to a place where it is not safe, that premise will die a natural death. They need to pay rent, they need to pay salaries. If nobody is buying from them, apart from the regulatory authorities, the public also have a role to play. They should listen to us. They should follow what we tell them. They should not, at any one point, go to a place where it is not safe, because they are the ones who will be sustaining that quack. Apart from
but how do they tell? That's where the challenge comes. Fatima, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead with your contribution.
I know the doctor talked about the antibiotics and paracetamol being part of the highest counterfeit, but I wanted to find out about morning after pills because I suspect it is also there is counterfeit products and many young people are using them.
Fatma, thank you.
Thank you.
So counterfeiting is as far as some of the contraceptives, there's that happening as well?
A medicine is a product that you take without questioning. Contraceptives, they fall in the category of medicines. They are to alleviate an intended pain or suffering, or they are meant to give a physiological change in your body. So as long as they fall in the category of medicines, as I told you, it is very difficult to define counterfeit because of the broad classifications under which they fall.
So that is happening. In your experience, is that happening as well?
There is a likelihood chance, there's a chance of a very high chance whereby contraceptives are also affected. Because I told you the cartels that run...
Because it's a fast-moving drug.
Exactly. The cartels, that's what they target fast-moving products.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Abdinassir Khalif, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya. And thank you for watching the show and all of your feedback. Always much appreciated.